Good morning, dear friends, respected members of AABN, and our distinguished guest, Mr. J. Muthukumar. It's with great pleasure and deep appreciation that I welcome you all to the 231st weekly webinar of the AABN networking platform, a platform that has considerably delivered knowledge, connection, and inspiration across borders and industries. Today's session title is Vastu Real or Ruse? Let's unmask the truth from fakes and fear, part 2. It's not just a continuation of a conversation, it's a bold step forward in our collective quest for clarity in a world where ancient wisdom often collides with modern skepticism. We gather here to explore, question, and understand. AABN has always stood for more than just business networking. It's a vibrant engine of ideas, a place where industry meet personal growth, and where every session adds a new layer to our understanding of the world. From technical know-how to soft skills, from wellness to wisdom, our journey has been one of relentless enrichment. And today we are truly privileged to be joined by a speaker whose life and work embody the very spirit of integration of science and philosophy, of industry and introspection. Mr. J. Muthukumar, a special guest this morning, is a man of extraordinary depth and diversity. He is the founder and managing director of IWEL's Integrated Management Consultant DMCC Dubai and a pioneer in the field of integrated project management in the oil and gas sector. With over 40 years of experience, Mr. Muthukumar has held leadership roles that span the entire spectrum of upstream oil and gas, from managing director to CEO, CTWO, COO, and global group GM. His expertise includes asset monetization, technology development, risk modeling, and project delivery in some of the most complex environment on earth. An alumnus of IIT Kharagpur and Annamala University, with further credentials from the University of Texas, Austin, he is not only a technical expert, but also a certified coach in nutrition, metabolic health, and change psychology, a rare blend of engineering, precision, and human insight. His travels have taken him to boardrooms and tribal villages, deserts and oceans, developed cities and remote forests, each encounter shaping his understanding of life, culture, and consciousness. These experiences have sparked a deep interest in philosophy, spirituality, and the interconnectedness of existence, themes that run through his writings and reflections. Mr. Muthukumar is also a prolific author with titles such as Not a Second Sex, Live While You Are Alive, and the Bhagavad Gita for the 21st century. His upcoming works under the Integrated Indian Knowledge System includes a groundbreaking book on Vastu titled Rekindling Vastu, Unveiling the Truth Beyond Shadows and Distortions. In this session today, he will help us peel back the layers of myth and misinformation surrounding Vastu and guide us toward a deeper, more authentic understanding of its principles, not as superstition, but as a science rooted in space, energy, and harmony. So without further ado, please join me in extending a warm and enthusiastic welcome to Mr. J. Muthukumar, a visionary leader, a seeker of truth, and a torchbearer of integrated wisdom. Let's open our minds, engage our curiosity, and prepare for an enlightening journey. Thank you, and over to you, Muthukumar, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Gopi, and good morning to everyone who has joined, and thank you very much for that. And thank you for a great introduction. I appreciate that, Mr. Gopi. Everyone, we discussed a lot on part one last a couple of weeks back before Diwali. And in the part two, what I would like to do is kind of recap what we discussed in part one. And so for some people who are not joined the part one, it may be a good help for them. And later on, we move into the critical aspect. I want to list out the critical aspect and questions, some challenges, doubts on the Vastu model. And I would like to take up based on your interest. And some subjects can be deep scientific, some of them can be deep symbolic, some of them can be deep cultural and spiritual models. So Vastu is a combination of science, the spirituality, the philosophical model, and symbolic model. Vastu is mostly symbolic with some scientific principles. So we have to look at what everybody is interested to discuss about, and then we can take it from there. And then at the end, we'll have a long Q&A session, and I'll also list out the questions. And if you have any additional questions, also we can discuss it. I wanted to actually do a breakout room sessions in this time, but I don't think we'll have time for it. But later on one-on-one, we can discuss it. So let's just quickly recap what we discussed. Uh, Okay, we are not going to denounce Vastu. That is one thing very clear. We are going to bring a harmony between ancient and classic Vastu Vidya to the modern contemporary Vastu. That's what we are going to do. Ultimately, what we have to achieve, every one of us, is to understand Vastu and apply it without fear, without fakes, without superstitions, and commerce based practices. Unfortunately, like every other model in the world today, astrology and anything you take it up, is all combined with the fear mongering, fakes, and superstitions and commerce based practices. To come out of it, to understand Vastu is very critical because Vastu can be applied through scientific principles for the harmony. That's what we're going to understand now. So, how old is Vastu? Quickly. Vastu is not new. It started almost like 3,500 to 4,000 years in the Rig Veda itself. If you have time to go and look at it in Wisdom Leap or somewhere, Mandala 754.1 to 3, it clearly says it invokes Vastuspati, who is the protection or guardian of the dwelling, to give prosperity to the people who are living there. Very clear. And a lot of places in Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, Vastuspati is invoked, not as an architecture, but is kind of acknowledged as a protection or guardian of the dwelling. Then around 1,000, 3,000 years back, Jyotisha was introduced, the first in the world on astronomy, cardinal directions, and celestial bodies. Then the Atharva Veda introduced the orientation directions and Subha Sastras on altar constructions with the perfect geometry. All of them came in. One important, Jyotisha means originally Jyotisha never had a personal horoscope, no predictive astrology. Jyotisha is only for astronomy, directions, orientation, and celestial events like eclipses and all these things. It never had personal horoscope and all these things, but it came later, around 1,000 years later. If somebody is interested, we can discuss it later. So, what happened after that? Then the first time Vastu as an architecture came by Varaha Mihira, who's the greatest astronomy scientist of India after Aryabhatta, who wrote Brihat Samhita, where he had put 2 chapters for Vastu. Then actually Vastu was become a proper architecture, scientific architecture. You'll be amazed if you read Manasara and Mayamata. Is nothing about philosophy, spiritual, God, and this like that. It's entirely a scientific model, a book to like a modern engineering, even master of science technology book is much more than that. It's very difficult to understand, but clear scientific and architectural introduction of how to construct temples, resident buildings, palaces for kings and everybody. And it's very, very good actually. That's actually lifted entire Vastu as an architecture document. Following Manasara and Mayamata as a basis, tens of books came in. Some of them many people might have heard of. Is Vishwakarma. Any Vastu consultant talk about, he will say, I am a descendant of Vishwakarma. So Vishwakarma book, Silparatna, which is mostly southern India. Sambarangana Sutradhara is more of Rajasthan and other northern India side. Rajavallabha is kind of a western northern India. All these things. And then Malayalam and Tamil brought 2 things like Manush Layaka's Chandrika in Malayalam and Manayadi Sastram in Tamil around the end of the 18th century, which are very famous in Malayadi Sastram, which is actually basically came from Manasara and Mayamata. For all of them, the basis is Manasara and Mayamata. So these are the thing. But what happened after the post 15th century? Mughal emperor came in. Babur entered on the 1526. And slowly, like everything else happened with our 6 darshanas like Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Advaita philosophy, Brahma Sutra, Samkhya, Yoga, everything got declined slowly one by one. Vastu science also got declined after the Mughal emperor. And of course, colonial rule, when British started, they kind of destroyed everything. It kind of, the roots of the Vastu was severed. European influence was introduced in all the buildings. And 1908 was the first architecture degree was introduced. And that time, the Vastu was removed as a curriculum. Vastu was not even introduced as a curriculum in 1908. India's first official degree of architecture BTech in architecture came in 1922. It was not called BTech that time, but it was an architecture degree, 1922, and Vastu was not a curriculum at all. Unfortunately, after independence, we continued with European influence. Vastu's tradition was never introduced. It was pushed like how Nyaya was pushed. For example, Nyaya is much better than Aristotle and Socrates. If somebody reads Nyaya, will be amazed that that kind of concept of five syllogisms were never introduced even by Socrates, Aristotle, any big philosophers of the world. But it has again declined and nobody introduced this. Only recently, couple of years back, IIT Kharagpur introduced Vastu as an elective subject in their civil engineering and architecture degree. Slowly, all the universities of India understood the value of Vastu as a science, especially after the Indian government brought the Indian knowledge system in 2020, recognized it and brought them as. But unfortunately, this time, fringe science was introduced and beliefs and myths were introduced. That's why Vastu is like this today. Now, if Vastu is a science of architecture, then how can it influence our life? If it's only a science of architecture, it's a construction business, why it will influence fortune and joy or misfortune and sorrow? Here, what is a complete difference from anything, like whatever you do in India, it is always resembles nature, your inner energy, outer energy, and the universe. And none of our philosophies had, even Aryabhatta, in his scientific book, Aryabhatya, he explains everything with respect to philosophical understanding of inner energy, personality, and the universe and nature around us. Unlike the Western philosophy only bothers about one physical, materialistic approach, Hinduism and all the internal knowledge of Indian systems were always about holistic method. So, classic Vastu understood that there is a relationship between, this is very important for all of us attending today, what we are discussing today, because Vastu understood that there's a relationship between people where you are dwelling, your place where you live, and the place surrounding it and the environment. So what they thought that the man's inner vision, the energy inside your body, is also associated with the external world, nature and the universe. So you don't exist without the nature around you and the universe. So the building architecture where you live, it becomes a bridge between the nature, the universe, and the people living in the house. That is what they brought in, because in every house is a fertility. What they thought is, in a house, the husband and wife goes in, they get children, their children grow, they get married, they get children. There's a continuous growth of fertility and family all the time. So it is a kind of a natural environment where there is a relationship. So the Vastu architecture for gods in temples, the kings in palaces, and the people in normal residences were designed accordingly. So if you look at Manasara and Maya Mata, clearly said this is the Vastu architecture for temples, this is the Vastu architecture for kings and the big people who live there with authority, and the people for normal people living in residences. Very clearly defined for all the three of them. In fact, one thing I have to bring in, which I don't want to discuss it today, but Maya Mata went even next to say that what is the house good for Brahmins, what is the house good for Kshatriyas, what is the good house for Vaisyas and Shudras also. And but if you look at it, there's nothing about Varna there, but exact explains based on what it explains is, it doesn't say Varna, it very clearly says Brahmins mostly do not do physical work, so their house has to be different. Compared to Sudras who do a lot of physical work, their house has to be completely different. So they kind of designed based on your occupation, not by your caste or jati. They discussed based on occupation. Somebody who's doing a physical work 14 hours a day, he has to live in a different house compared to somebody working with the brain and internal thinking is a different house. It's a beautiful concept, but unfortunately, again, this politics of Varna and Jati came in and destroyed that. But it is there, which I don't want to say no or keep it away from you. Manasara and Mayamata discusses the houses for Varnashram also. So hence, to combine, now to recap, Vastu is a science of architecture, was very genuine. You'll be very surprised each and every aspect of Vastu is as a principle behind it, combined with symbolism. And that is why a lot of people say Vastu is useless, it's a superstition, very ancient, old, because they combine the powers of Devatas, Digpalas, assigned to that. That's what they believed. But there are also a principle behind it. For example, Surya, the sun is a the ultraviolet rays and all these things. So they said sun is important. Varuna, water, is extremely important devata for our life. Vayu, the air, is extremely important. They are there with us. But they also understood the value of air, Vayu, the value of water, Varuna, the value of earth, Prithvi, value of Akasha, sky. So they just brought each and every aspect of the symbolic representation of how these Panchaputa elements will work on it. So it's a symbolic, but at the same time is a principle behind it. So what is the principle of Vastu? Individuals, people like us, all of us in this call and everybody living in this world, there's a relationship with the dwelling where you house, where you live, and that is connected to a space and soil. The soil has to be extremely good for you to put a house and live there. So it becomes an amicability to nature, environment, the forces acting around you, and the energies. Very clearly, they brought it out. It's actually pride for us, actually, to be very frank. Nobody, even today's Western architecture, does not bother about it. But they bothered almost 2,000, 3,000 years back, they talked about it. All right. And then it will bring harmony, stability, and prosperity to give the people who live there a balance and bliss. That's what Vastu is about. Vastu is never about money. They never say that if you put a bathroom in southeast or kitchen in here, you'll get a money. You'll get a lot of promotions. You will get your wants and desires. Vastu never says that. It's all modern concept after independence, and doesn't say that you have an unjustified, undeserved want without doing any effort. You say that I want to get a lottery ticket win. I want to put a Vastu object here. It doesn't work like that. There's no emphasis on fear or superstitions in Vastu. It's very important to understand it. It's all modern concept and modern Vastu consultants trying to become commercial to teach you on that. So it only says three things actually. Bohatyam means the house where you live, it should bring comfort and facilities for you. Shukadarsham, it has to be pleasing, harmony, and it will be proportionate, and should be Ramyam, charming, delightful, harmonious with the environment. And then it's all about orderly, spacious, and all these things. This is what is also about. No fear, no superstition. This is one of the best buildings on Vastu in India, in Rajasthan. It was designed by a 9x9 mandala by Vidyadhar Bhattacharya, one of the best Vastu consultants, experts in the world that time. And he constructed this beautiful Rajasthan building. Of course, a lot of buildings like Burgadishwar temple in Tanjore is one of the greatest example. The Raja Kaliamman temple in Chennai, in Paris, is one of the examples of the right Vastu. Exactly. 80 in the Vastu, the Raja Kaliamman temple. There's a lot of examples of this. Maile Karpagama temples also designed as Vastu, and several temples like that. So, so what we need to do before we go in, what is the Vastu basically considers mainly the sun and sunlight is the most important thing in Vastu. Second is air and ventilation. Third is the soil, the proportions and space. Vastu really pushed on this aspect. It has to have sunlight is the most important of your life. And today science has proved it. Many of you may not believe me. If you have ChatGPT or Google or Grok or Claude, whatever you have, type it and say the relationship between serotonin hormone and sunlight in the east. Look at it. It will say that when you get up in the morning and look at the sun, when sun is rising in the east, your hypothalamus in the brain connects automatically to sunlight and secretes more of serotonin. In the night, in the evening at the sunset, you will get melatonin, which will make you to sleep. The morning, you have to get serotonin to become energetic and do your work in the morning. And that happens when you look at the east in the sun. And it says very clearly, you can type in ChatGPT. And this is what our ancestors felt, that early morning sun brings optimism and energy. So sun and sunlight became very important. Of course, air and ventilation is absolutely no question about it. And then soil, proportions, and space. Now, based on that, if you look at our Vastu, original Vastu talked about this 10 items: orientation, site selection, 6 canons, we'll discuss later, proportions, Panchabhuta alignment, aesthetic and artistic, functionality, material selection, climate, and ceremonials. All of them. If you look at our Vastu, everybody, all the 10 have been applied by every Vastu consultant in 1500 years back. But today, all of you know, I'm going to put it, what is happening today in the modern Vastu? They only concentrate on orientation. That's all. Sometimes people use proportions and ceremonies. And what is a good day to Graha Pravesa, what a good day to do Bhumi Puja, all these things they do. But they never do anything else. So today, Vastu consultants, they do not follow the Vastu architecture development. It has now gone to the architects who designed the house. Many people follow it. Many architects do not like the the functionality model. In fact, I talked to a lot of architects, friends who studied, they all said that no, functionality model of architecture is difficult to introduce into the modern apartments and flats and all these things. So they don't follow that. They only follow the orientation model and all this kind of thing. But today, Vastu consultants, whoever comes to your house, you have to ask one question to him. What do you do for all these things? How do I select the site? How do I select the 6 cannons? How do I do IRD calculations? If they don't answer it, they are not true Vastu consultants. You can completely remove them. They are not good for you because they only talk about orientation and try to become commercial. So this is a slide which you have to capture it. Somebody wants to screen capture it. It's very, very important. If you want to do a Vastu at your house, you're planning to construct a new house, all these 10 items you have to follow, which is each one of them have a scientific principle behind it. We'll explain it. So what is the first important 7 design concept of Vastu? Suppose you're buying a plot now and you want to construct a house. You're going to hire an architect. You're going to hire a civil engineering construction company. The first thing you should do as a owner of the house, it is not like this. It's not like when this is a problem with the current world. The world time, the owner of the house will involve himself in every aspect of it. சொல்லுவாங்களே தமிழ்ல ஒவ்வொரு கல்லும் ஒவ்வொரு செங்கல்லும் ஒவ்வொரு மண்ணும் ஒவ்வொரு சிமெண்ட் என் கையால கொட்டி நானே வேர்வை சிந்தி கட்டின வீடு இது அப்படின்னு சினிமா டயலாக் பார்த்திருக்கோம். But they do that. They sit with that mason and work with it all the time. But today we just pay money and don't bother what architect is doing, what the civil construction doing. Is everything as per Vastu? Yes, sir. Fine. I pay the money, you construct the house. That's what we do. We don't follow even our own systems. We don't respect our systems. But what you have to do is, first is orientation. Big nirnaya. You get a plot, first look at the orientation. Second, look at the Bhumi Pariksha. Anybody can do it. You and me can do it. We don't need any Vastu consultant, no experts. You and me can do it. I'll explain some procedures. Then the IRD Sadvarga is beautiful. We are calculating so many things today. These calculations are very simple or fantastic actually. All aligned to your birth star, you align to your natural planet, main Graha planet is also aligned to your direction of sun and everything. It's very important. And proportions mana is very, very important as far as Vastu consultant. Every house is asked to be proportionate. Second is site planning, which is a Purusha Mandala, which is linked to the Devatas. Then, of course, alignment with the Panchabhutas. And the last one is the Shanta Lakshana. It's very, very important. So these are the 7 design concepts. Without this 7 concept, if you construct a house, there will be disharmony in the house. Vastu doesn't say that your wife will die, your son will have a problem, you will not get married, you will not go to the US, you will not get money. It doesn't say that. It only says fortune, misfortune, negative, positive, merit and demerit. That's all. It will be a demerit. Something will happen. But you always say that there is ups and downs in life based on your Desha, Kala and Parva. So don't worry about it. You may feel low today, you may come up again tomorrow. So you don't have to demolish anything, change anything. Vastu never says. They give you some parihars, some remedial actions for doing this, but nothing drastically like move your kitchen next to the bathroom, put a toilet inside the bathroom. They don't say all these things. So it is very important to know that. So to understand Vastu is imperative to understand these 7 design concepts. Why? These principles must be followed from the time one thinks of even buying a plot. If you do not think about Vastu for your trying to buy it, then it's too late. You have to do parigas and remedies and all this action. So when you're trying to buy a plot, think about Vastu, get the best Vastu consultant who knows all these things, not this modern commercial Vastu consultant. Somebody knows about it and also talks about after buying the plot, when you're trying to construct it, ensure that on the day one, you think about hiring an architect or a civil construction consultant. Tell them, talk to them, sit with them. Do not give them money and ask them to do something and walk away. You are the owner. Your family, your wife, your children are going to live there. We have responsibility. We have accountability for that. We cannot run away from that. It's not like ordering food from Zomato and eat whatever they give you. Any shit we eat actually, whatever they deliver. It's not like that in a house. We are going to create value, family, future. It's important that we have responsibility, not about money. So it's important to understand that. So I do not know how much you want to look at it. It's up to the team we have here. What we want to do here is, these 7 concepts are extremely important for you to understand before we go to the next step. So I would like to take another half an hour to discuss it. If everybody is okay about it, it's fine. If somebody feels that it's too time consuming or a waste of time, type it in the message. I request Didi, who is in the call now, to kind of take those messages, and she will pass it on to Mr. Gopi, and Gopi will advise to me when to stop and where not to go. So sometimes if you don't want to type it, you can always open up your mute, unmute it, tell me that it's going too much, let's stop it, let's go to the next Q&A session. But for me, before going to Q&A session, if this is extremely critical, so I'm taking your liberty to go ahead with that, but feel free to stop me when you don't like it. So the most important thing in Vastu, in your life also, the 4 cardinal directions are extremely important. If you understand it, you will become a Vastu consultant. You will become a Vastu expert for your own house, even if you don't consult to other people. First of all, on those days, even 100 years back, there was no electricity. Total darkness after sunrise. On the eastern side, when the sun comes in, it dispels the darkness and brings optimism to people, warmth and optimism. Everything comes on life. The grass coming to life, the birds come to life, animals come to life, human beings come to life. Everybody feels confidence. Okay, yesterday was bad for me. Today it will be good. I will go with optimism. We get out of the house thinking that yesterday was bad. Today I will do something good. The ultraviolet rays is excellent for health. Some people say vitamin D is also very good. So those days, they don't know ultraviolet, vitamin D and all. Only thing they know that the northeastern morning sun is very good for health and optimism and energy. Though sunlight became sacred and very valuable in the Vastu side. So this is the one. On the northern side, like east, is also important symbolically, sun movement to that. So when you look at the longest day of the year on June 21, that is the time sun is going to be on the northern side. The shortest day, December 21, sun will be on the near the southern side. So the sun is actually moving south to north all the time, but it's only north in India, not in the northern hemisphere. You can't go to US and say same thing will happen. What you see in India is different from what you see in the US or Europe or Australia. For as far as India is concerned, sun will be on the northeast in June, sun will be southeast in the December time. It moves about 23 degrees up and down. Okay, so it's important to understand that point. The sun movement is this. What our people did, why it is important for our people is our people understood it very confidently. That is what you have to look at. 2000 years back when Rishi said the sunlight weakens between June to December because it is going to Dakshinayana, which is going towards the south. Because he was in the north, he's going to get colder there. The sunlight is going to come down, north will become cold. So he knows that sunlight is weakening. So there is going to be real difficulty. So he called it Dakshinayana. And then he knows that sunlight is going to be stronger in the northern side. So he called that December to June as the Uttarayana. So Uttarayana is the one where sun is moving from the equinox to the northern direction. How beautifully he knows that. He knows that there's going to be summer, there's going to be a beautiful place, all the people will be alive, all these things will be good, spring will come, sunlight will create a lot of things for them to farming and other things will happen. So the colder climate will go. So that is what they did. It may not apply for South India. South India is different. So we have to be very clear. When Vastu says Dakshinayana, Uttarayana, it is mostly based on their text followed on the northern side of India. Southern side of India, we look at Maya Mata or Manasara or Manayadi Sastram or Tamil Nadu, they will see differently because they won't see that cold climate of what the Himalaya sees in the northern side in South India. So for us, Uttarayana, Dakshinayana is slightly different compared to what they felt. But that is why in the general Vastu, the Kalohi Bhagavan means time is important, is God. That's what they said as we move. So this is important to understand. In the western side, what happens? After the sunset, there's darkness. Evening sun ends the light. It also, see, western those days, you're going to decline and conclusion all the activities. Even today, at evening at 5 o'clock in the office, most of us finish office work and come home. We also finish dinner, eat dinner, and then just sit at the TV, don't do any work, relax and watch TV and sleep actually. So we conclusion activities. So day time, sunrise is the starting of the activities. Sunset in the evening is the declining of the activities. You're detaching from the world. You're going towards the rest and relaxing position. And also the evening time, sun will not have ultraviolet rays, but you'll have infrared rays. That will be very hard towards from the western side. So it becomes less sacred. You understand that. Even today it is like that. So the next one is the southern side. What is southern side is so important. Why is called Yama and everything is that especially in the equator side, when India is very close to the equator, the sun travels from the east to the west, mostly in the southerly direction. That's what they do. So most of the time, from morning 9 o'clock in the southeast until the 7 o'clock in the southwest, we'll see sun all the time hitting the southern direction, and it brings a lot of infrared rays. That's why it's very hot. It will be a tamasic activity. But after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, many of you, if you sit in the house, you feel very tired. You're not mentally energetic because sun is hitting a lot of heat in the southern direction. The heat comes into the house. You feel very sultry. We are not comfortable with that. Today with the AC and all, we kind of changed it. And those days there was no air conditioner, there was no fans and all. That's what you have to remember. You're sitting in the house without AC, without a fan. In the afternoon at 3 o'clock, you will feel very hot inside. You'll be tamasic. You'll be no inertia, no movement. You just want to relax, lie down, just waste your time, and then get ready in the evening, right? That is why it is called as Yama, because there's no energy in the body during the afternoon time. That's what it's called. So it talks about heaviness and grounding, because most people, even animals, you see cows and everything, will lie down, do nothing in the afternoon because of the very high level of heat and radiation coming from the sun. This is science. This is what is happening. In South India, if you look at it, sun is rising in the east, sun is setting in the west. It all the time moves on the southerly direction. That is why it is very hot in the afternoon time. You have to understand that. Same thing may not happen in Himalayas. If you are a rishi living in the Himalayas, you will see the sun path slightly different. It will be slightly north of this. So you may see a different sunlight in the northern side. So you have to remember, there's no need to fight. Oh, that text from northern India is completely from southern India. We are much more intelligent. No, it is because of the difference. The Manayadi Shastram that Mr. Iyer, who wrote it down, he knows very well that southern India is different from northern India. He converted, modified it to southern India requirement. The northern guy, the Rishi who made that for Vishwakarma or Varaha Mihira, he made it for the northern India, looking at the sun from there. Both are correct. But unfortunately, we are politicizing and fighting that the Sanskrit is wrong, Tamil is correct. No, it is not correct. It is based on the region and climate. We have to understand, respect both of them. That's what I'm trying to explain to people, that intellectually we have to understand the difference and respect both the documents. So that is why south, if you have a house, a road is here and south is facing, why is saying that most of the time you'll get infrared rays at your house, not ultraviolet rays. Okay, your door is going to be there, your drawing hall, everything is going to be that side. And if you southwest, some master consultant will say, irrespective of where your door is, the southwest is going to be a bedroom, everything will be like this, and then what happens, the infrared is going to come, it's going to be hot. So south is not very good because of this heat and all these things. So what will happen, you will miss an opportunity of getting a northeastern sun in the early morning. That is the concept. Actually, south is considered as Yama, and it is not considered to be very auspicious. There's nothing about symbolic, nothing about spiritual or philosophical or God or kind of superstition. It's proper scientific principle that sunlight will be hot in the whole of afternoon for southern India in the southern side. Same thing in northern India also. South is always like that. So next is most important, you understand the wind circulation. This is the wind rose we call it for southern India. For Chennai, I have taken it. For Chennai, if you look at it, most of the wind comes from northeast or southwest or western direction. You can see there is no wind going from southeast at all. That is very, very important to understand. Our ancestors understood it perfectly without the modern instrument and the windrose diagrams. They knew that the wind is going to come only from northwest or southwest or northeast. So the south is the one where there is no wind. Just imagine yourself, close your eyes. What you are doing that in the olden days? You are having cow dung, wood, dry wood, or any kind of thing to heat and do in the kitchen. So when you are firing in the kitchen with the dry cow dung and the dry wood and all these things, there will be smoke and ashes and everything coming in. You don't want that smoke and ashes are brought inside the house by the wind. It has to go outside the house. That is why they kept southeast as a primary for kitchen. Secondly, 8 o'clock in the morning until almost 4 o'clock in the evening, that southeast will always have sunlight. Always. Those days there's no electricity, there's no light. You don't put a switch and get a light. They need a natural light. The sunlight is always existing in the southeast. Even today, if you put all your lights off, open all your windows, you can see from morning 7 o'clock until evening 4 o'clock, sunlight is always there in the southeast direction. So answer no, that is why they want light for kitchen to cook. So that's why they kept southeast for light. Secondly, for wind going away from the house. Beautiful. There's nothing superstition, nothing about it. They're properly thought about it, proper scientific principle they're putting on. So this is why the southeast kitchen was recommended. But today You have electricity, air condition, even fan in kitchen. There's nothing different, right? A lot of LED lights. It's like 24 hours you get light there. So this is what is important in Vastu. In the four cardinal directions of Vastu, if you look at it, north, east, south, and west, from the dawn to the sunrise, the northeast is called Sattvic in nature. The sunrise is very calming, beautiful, cool air. So we just get up in the morning at 5 o'clock, sometime. Walk towards the north, wherever you are. Look at the dawn. Look at the dawn coming up, called Usha. Sun says Usha, Udeti, Pratyagra, Purani. That Usha is respected. It's coming before the sun. It's bringing beautifully that ultraviolet rays and vitamin D to you. Watch it there. You see a cool breath of air, very nice, calm atmosphere, good for yoga, meditation, bathing, whatever you want to do that, study, education, whatever. That is why it's sattvic in nature. But sometime around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and to mid morning, the eastern side, sun moves towards the southern side, towards the east. It becomes sattvic and rajas. You start acting. You get up in the bed, go get ready to the office, go do whatever you want, go to the farm, work. So rajas is activity. You are working. That's what happening. Then around the midday and the mid afternoon, by 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, lot of heat in the southwest direction, you become very tamasic. I can tell you, even in the office, even under AC after lunch, for 1 or 2 hours, you don't want to work. You just want to do tamas. You want to be inertia. You want to rest, relax. Many people at home also after lunch will watch a TV or sleep or whatever. You're not able to work with the same energy as in the morning. That is what tamasic in the southwest. That is why they say south is not so good. And then evening again, about 4 o'clock, you get fresh again. You want to finish your work for the day. People go to the farm. People go to the office, get ready for the next day, close out all the businesses. You become rajasic and tamasic and come back again to sattvic towards the early morning. This is a representation our ancestors understood very clearly. That is how they said south is sattvic, northeast has to be a puja room or yoga room, meditation room, drawing room, whatever. Southeast kitchen room, because you're going to start the activity for cooking early in the morning for people to eat food. And then tamasik is you want to rest in the afternoon, want to sleep in the afternoon. Your bedroom you put on the southwest and sleep there. And Rajasa tamasik is good for drawing rooms or bedroom, whatever you want to do on the northern west. That is what is important. So this is a concept. See, you see that there is a natural principle behind what our ancestors did. It's not just a blind superstition. They said like that. So we should be proud of it. And then, we have to learn this kind of answer. We should not allow the commercial-based Vastu consultants to take advantage of the people's fear and the fake pushing for selling commercial aspects. Second, most importantly, is come Ayurveda. Ayurveda and Vastu are combined. What they are saying is, the northeastern direction, when sunlight is going to come in the morning, your body will be under kapha. Ayurveda is called kapha, pitta, and vada. All three, right? Many of you know in Ayurveda and Siddha Vidya. So what they are saying, early morning, sunlight gives you kapha. That is why Ramalinga Adigalar said very clearly, Kalayil inji, madiyam sukku, iravil kadukai. Basically for inji kala சாப்பிட்டா கப்பாவை கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணும், மதியம் சுக்கு சாப்பிட்டா பித்தத்தை கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணும், நைட்டு கடுகாய் சாப்பிட்டா வாதத்தை கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணும், நைட்டு நல்லபடியாக தூங்க முடியும். But Ramalinga Adigalar also understood this concept of Ayurveda and Vastu. Our Vastu people also understood. That is why they are saying how to do it. Because pitta, kapha, pitta, vata and vada has to be there. And accordingly, they also, when they put their rooms and how the kitchen, where the kitchen has to go, where the bedroom has to come, they created the combination of sattva, rajas and tamasic to kapha, pitta and vata. How beautiful it is, right? I was amazed when I read all these things in Manasara, Manamata, Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, the Saraka Samhita is a first book of Ayurveda, talks about Vastu. If you look at Indian system, it's not like today's doctors certificate. They take a certificate of I only do ENT, I only do diabetes, I only do skin disease. No, they do. Ayurveda talks about Vastu. The astronomy talks about Vastu. They are combined with the knowledge of integration. So this is what is that. So the most important final thing is Vastu Purusha. So Vastu Purusha, every consultant you go talk to that today, even architects say Vastu Purusha Mandala. They would say that. Vastu means is a site or dwelling where you live. Vastu Shastra is science of dwelling. Vastu Purusha is the personified spirit. What is the symbolism is? Earth is a feminine nature. Vastu Purusha is masculine nature. So when you construct a house in a plot, empty plot, the Vastu Purusha unionizes with the earth. The male force is joining with the female force. That becomes a fertile land. Fertility, nothing about producing agriculture, crops or something. Fertility about peace and happiness, joy, the family living and growing there in the house is a fertility. That is what it symbolizes. It also symbolizes that when you are dwelling, the the owner of the house, the lord of the house also aligns with the plot. Is also kind of a Vastu Purusha. So it's a combination coming from Samkhya philosophy into Ayurveda and into the Vastu model. So this is what is happening. So when you buy a plot, Vastu Purusha will come as soon as you decide to construct a house. Vastu Purusha will come and sit on this. He will Hades will be in the northeast, like will be in the southwest. There's a big story about Vastu Purusha. I don't want to take it up because of time, but it's important that every Vastu means you have to consult Vastu Purusha. What is saying? Vastuspati, what is said in Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda talks about Vastuspati. This is what is that guy, that protected guardian of the house. This is what is going to come to everybody's house. It's a symbolic representation. You can't ask me, is it definitely going to be there? No, it's a symbolic representation of somebody is there to protect your house. So you invoke them. The good thing about Rig Veda, I know about how many people understand Rig Veda. Rig Veda is people talk about, but one thing great about Rig Veda is they don't beg, they don't please, they won't plead. They invoke with authority. They follow something called cosmic order Rita. Rita means is a cosmic order. They do by rituals, but the mantras are so strong, so powerful that they invoke the Vastu Purusha or any Devata that you have to obey the cosmic order. Initially, I was also not very fond of Rig Veda. I said, what is Rig Veda? I say, they're just pricing, asking for things like that. But when it's very detailed, I went into Rig Veda directly from learning Sanskrit, trying to understand from Sanskrit verses. I was amazed to see that the cosmic order, how they invoking, very powerful. Later on, as usual, like Vastu, the ritualistic concept of Veda became commercial. That's a different thing. But the original Rig Veda, original Yajur Veda is extremely powerful. And that is what they did actually there. So this is what it's about. So what they're talking about is the 8 directions are extremely important for us to understand. All of you know about it. Many of you know about Vastu, north, east, south, and west. North is Kubera or moon. Soma means moon, not that Madhubanam kadiyar, not alcohol. This Soma means moon here. Yama is the south. Aditya, sun is the east. Varna in the west. Nirti or Prithvi or Pitru, our ancestors southwest. Vayu is the northwest. North is the Isanya, which is Lord Shiva, and Agni of the southeast Asia. In this one, and there are 2 more, which is important for us to understand, which many people, the Vastu consultants coming into a house, ask them, what is the 9th and 10th? The 9th is called Urdhva. Urdhva means the Brahman. From the Brahma, the center stage is the Brahmasthana. The Brahman is actually existing in the universe. Okay, that Brahman, the absolute spiritual, is the 9th element, Urdhva. And then below your Brahmasthana on the house, you have Adas, which is basically Ananda Shesha, materialistic world. So upper you have a spiritual world, you have a materialistic world. That's why Brahmasthana is extremely critical, because Brahmasthana in the center is not just about Brahma, it's got spiritual connection to the Brahman on the top and is connection to the materialistic well below on the others. So if you are highly materially grounded in mind, you'll be pulled by the others in the down. When you are very spiritual, you'll be pulled by the Urdhva in the house. That way in some of the houses, you will feel highly spiritual and good vibration will be there. In some houses, you will not have these vibrations because the house is full of Adas or the house is full of Urdhva. In some of the old Kerala houses, the houses in Agraharas, you look at it in Kanchipuram or some places, even some places in the Chettinad areas, and all if you go, you look at, you feel that the Urdhva and Ardas, depending upon how the house is constructed, you can feel it. It's very important. It's not a small concept. It just talks about the various aspects of this thing. So these are the cardinal directions for Vastu. So the Vastu principle is this, the 8 directions, right? But unfortunately, today Vastu consultant, today architects, they don't like this model, because for them it is very difficult to kind of models to apply actual architecture planning of the house. So they brought in something called today's practice based on 8 directions triangular model. This is easy for them to do it from an architectural design perspective, because the apartments and everything are constructing building. You can't follow this Vastu principle. So what is important that you create that 8 triangular model, and many architects and many Vastu consultants follow this model, which is applicable for small plots of 400 square feet, 600 square feet, ground, ground. In the real Vastu is not easy to do. I'll explain to you why. And that is why they got into the 8 triangular model. In fact, in apartments, actually, Vastu, the real Vastu cannot be applied scientifically. You can manage it. Something can compromise and do something, but it's not practically possible. So this 8 triangular model, which is against Vastu's original principle, and this is what is followed because of the architectural model. If you go to any kind of software designed for Vastu, they might mostly use this one, because when you have only a 800 square feet apartment living in a fourth floor, fifth floor, you cannot apply the Vastu principle. So they just apply this 8 different principles model and apply it. So there's a difference here how we do it, and that's why what I'm saying is very important for you. Where if you're buying an apartment or constructing an apartment of 1,400 square feet or 1,000 square feet, it's important that original Vastu is not applied there. So you're compromised Vastu only you're buying. So if somebody says to you that I'm applying all the Vastu, even an architect, no, don't. This is not correct. You can't apply. There's no way you can do it. I'll explain to you why. Because you can't even put a Brahmasthana in an 800 square feet apartment. So Brahmasthana, you will put a cot or a table or dining table or anything like that. You're destroying it. There's no value of your first principle of Brahmasthana is affected. So Vastu principle divides that into, this is a Paramasian Vastu Purusha. There's also something called Mandulaka and other things, but Paramasian is the most important for all the residence building, not for palace or temples. So I'm showing this 81 square Vastu principle model, which is square in shape. Very interestingly, they kept it in rectangular square in shape. But today's Vastu, you look at Maha Vastu, any book, look at it, what they do, completely different. They do circular. The same 32 elements of the original Vastu, they convert a circular dimension mainly because of that. When you go to the previous 8 triangular model, will relate to the circular model. But your house is not circular. And nobody questions the Vastu consultants or architect. Hey, my plot is 40 by 60. My plot is 30 by 70 or 50 by 80. It is rectangular in shape. It should be like a Vastu principle. Why are you putting a circle? How will you apply this to an artist or somewhere? But nobody questions that. So the entrance door is selected based on the circular model, not by the rectangular model. All of you are educated, all of you are qualified. You question yourself, what is correct? Your plot is 50 by 80, 40 by 60, beautiful rectangle. How can a circular model will apply for entrance door? But that's what today's Vastu is applied. So question that. But the question is, okay, I won't say this is wrong or right. I'm not saying that, please. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. What I'm saying is, this is the fact followed. The question I asked some of the Vastu consultants, they said that circle is dynamic. But where the original square stabilities are, those days actually people live for 50 years, 60 years, the same place. The families will be in the same place. Children will not go to America. Children will not go to Europe. Parents will not be alone. The whole family will stay in the same house for 150 years. That's why stability is there. But today, everything dynamic. So parents are there, children go to America, they don't come to house for 3 hours, for 4 years, one time they come. That is why I said, we have to create a circular dynamic situation. We can't put a stable. And they argued to me saying that if I have a stable northwest corner, if they put a sun there, the sun will not be happy and comfortable. I have to put a circular model for it. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I kind of argued with several Vastu consultants, but then I felt that, okay, they're talking about something which they probably practically seen. I don't know how to, don't know data to oppose it. I left it like that. So I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but this is what they followed. But you have to use your logic to understand what they're saying and take from there. So if you're buying a house, you have a plot, this is what any Vastu consultant will draw. And this is come from some changes, but this is mainly coming from Manasara and Mayamata, Saramangana, Sutra. I had taken 5 different Vastu texts. Most important, Manasara, Mayamata, Saramangana, Samangana, Sutradhara, Manayadi Sastram in Tamil, and that Mankul Shalya from Malayalam. This 5 I have taken. I use all the 5 here because there are 2 Northern India, 1 Central India, 2 South India. 5 books so that I bring all of them together. So there are some difference will be there because something I changed, but this is the main 32 elements, Devatas acting on you. They're all based on the directions and everything. If you have this in you, this chart also I can share it with Gopi, you can take it with you. This is, if you see some website, something may change here, but the fundamental Soma or Gubera, Varuna, Aditya, Yama will be same everywhere. Similarly, the Isa, Agni, Pitri and Vayu will not change. Where people changes, the Mahendra, which is very, very important north of Aditya, people put Indra there. Something like that, some changes will be like that. But apart from that, this is more or less common everywhere. And you can use this. This is the most important things to apply for where you want to put your bedroom. If you understand this, you can be a Vastu for your own house. You don't need anybody else. That's the fundamental aspect. That's what we are discussing today. So this then the Brahmasthana is very critical, as I mentioned, is very, very important because there is a Urdhva and others below the Brahmasthana. So now I want to stop here. Now we can discuss the Q&A, or we can go to this how to I have another thing, how to start from beginning, from the time of buying a plot all the way to construct a house, how Vastu can be applied. That exercise also we can do. We lost about 45 minutes now. But one thing I want to take about 10 minutes is that all of us is to understand there's a difference between astronomical science and astrology. It's important because today many Vastu consultants are bringing astrology into Vastu, which is not correct. Vastu never meant to be astrology. Even until the 14th, 15th century, the Apachita, the Manayadi Sastram of Tamil Nadu, which is written in the 18th century, they never talk about astrology. But today, Vastu Consult brought the personal astrology into the Vastu Consultant. They look at your horoscope and say that you have a northwest bedroom, something like that. Your daughter will get married because it is Vayu. So there's something that they do with the astrology, but that is not Vastu science. So for you to understand very clearly, looking at it, just important to see that what is really happening. We are in the equator line. India is just above the equator, 13 degrees above the equator. And if you see the morning sun in June 22, it will be in the northeast. And December 21, 22, you see same place from Chennai, you look at it, you will see the sun in the southeast. And exactly around the 22nd of March and September, if you're standing, you will see the sun due east. So this is the sun position moving all the time. So the true north is not the same. In the olden days, people say you show the right hand to the sun, your face is facing the north, which is wrong. Because that's the point, the north will be different. So this is important for you to understand. Then very important is this path of the earth, which is moving around the sun, is called ecliptic. Earth will rotate anti-clockwise around the sun. But if you see only from North Pole, it's another important thing, lot of misconception about people. If you even go type it Google and all, people simply say it is anti-clockwise, which is wrong completely. Because if you're standing above the North Pole, watching the earth, it will be anti-clockwise. But if you're in the South Pole, looking from down to the South Pole, this will be rotating clockwise. So earth is not anti-clockwise or clockwise. It depends upon where you are. If you are above the South Pole, North Pole, the earth is anti-clockwise. If you are below the South Pole, earth is clockwise. So again, same concept will not apply. So that's very important. The reason I want to put that concept of earth is always rotating anti-clockwise. Even in school exams, textbooks, the same thing. How is earth rotating? Anti-clockwise, you get a mark. You put clockwise, the question is wrong. It's a multiple choice questions, doesn't explain what it is. Just to clearly say my reference position, where I am looking at the earth from. This is important to understand because somebody says this is also important. You have to ask the question, what is the reference point for looking at this rotation? If you don't do that correctly, it will be a problem for you to even decide what is the entrance door going to be. Because where we are in South India, in Chennai, that entrance door should be anti-clockwise direction. That is how Vastu says. We'll come to that later. So the path of now, you look at all these things here, the planetary system, you look at it. What are the things we all know? The sun at the center, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are the 8. Pluto is not a planet, so that the planets around the sun. We know that. But astrology, what it says, it is at the center. It only talks about 5 planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. But it starts moon and sun also as a planet, Rahu and Ketu as a planet. Rahu and Ketu is never part of the system. Then our system called as Rahu as shadow planets. You can question me now saying that, see now this shows that our people are bad. But not from astronomical side. I'm just telling you from Vastu and astronomy, Aryabhatta, Varaha Migira, brilliant scientists. Even today, the modern science never understood this. They understood. Aryabhatta said how the eclipse came. Eclipse is coming because of the shadow planets. Beautiful. I can show you even this chapter of Aryabhatta, what he wrote. How the eclipses are formed and where it is formed. It is coming from Rahu and Ketu. He called it a different name, shadow planets. Astrology used that to bring into personal horoscope. So that's a different thing. Now, I want to explain to you what is Rahu and Ketu scientifically. How Aryabhatta, how current science is looking at it. Modern science is looking at Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu is not a superstition or some kind of a nonsense. It is properly a place around, but it's not physical like the planet. Aryabhatta found it almost 1,500 years back. Varagamigira and other Jambu Deva confirmed it later. Current science understood. So what is Rahu and Ketu for you to understand? This is the moon direction. The red color is moon. The moon is moving around the earth. Okay. The moon is not growing, is inclined at the angle of 5 degrees. Okay. So the moon is going to be like this. It's not straight like this, going round and round. It will go up and down like this at a 5-degree angle. So it has got a ascending node and descending node. When the sun, earth, I didn't put a complicated diagram for you to understand simply. The earth is revolving around the sun. Moon is revolving around the earth. So when the earth's ecliptic line and the moon's line around the earth, when they meet, two places they meet. One is called the ascending node and the descending node. Ascending node means this is a place where earth will meet the eclipse of the earth. Eclipse of the earth will meet the moon's orbit, and the moon will move above. It will go above this line. It will go above. It's called ascending node, which is called as Rahu. This node, this point is called Rahu. And then when the earth is meeting on the other side, it is called descending node because the moon will be coming down, not up, which is called Ketu. So ascending node is Rahu, the descending node is Ketu. And why it is important even in modern science is, this is the place when moon comes here, you'll see eclipse. The solar eclipse and lunar eclipse happen only when moon is coming to the ascending node or descending node. So Ketu and Rahu brings eclipse. So they bring the shadow. அதான் கூட சொல்லிட்டாங்க, பாம்பு வந்து முழுங்குதுப்பா, நிழல் வருதுப்பா, அதான் ராகு shadow planets. Our astrology brought it into the issue with respect to personal horoscope. Our scientists, Aryabhatta and Varagamigira, understood very clearly that when moon is coming to these two places, eclipse happen. And they call it shadow planets. Beautiful. I mean, just an unimaginable understanding. We should all be proud of our system. Not like some, this actually written Aryabhatta. I can even show you somebody's example. I cut the chapter and send it to all of you if you want. If you read the Aryabhatta's chapter on ascending and descending nodes and eclipses, you'll be very surprised. Even today in 21st century, how many people can explain eclipse? You go to anybody, any highly qualified people, ask them about what is eclipse, what is shadow planet, they won't be able to explain. 1,500 years back, Aryabhatta did it. And modern science accepted this. So this is Rahu and Ketu. It's important for us to understand. I'm not interested about talking about astrology here. Whether you believe astrology or not, horoscope or not, is up to you. But Vastu does not have astrology. That is the point. So, in the astronomy, you see sun at the center, astrology, earth is at the center. In astronomy, 8 physically visible planets, and astrology only 5. Moon and sun are not planets in astronomy. Moon is a satellite on the earth and sun is a star. You know that. Rahu and Ketu do not exist physically. They are shadow, they are kind of node points. Rahu and Ketu are shadow planets as per astrology. And Uranus and Neptune are planets in astronomy, but astrology never considered them into aspect of it. If your Saturn is very close to Uranus and Neptune, if Saturn is so important in astrology, why astrology not bother about Uranus and Neptune? If you believe in astrology, you have to ask the question to astrologer. Why Uranus and Neptune is not there? 88 star constellations in astronomy, and astrology follows only 27 stars. There are only 27 nakshatras in astrology, but there's 88 star constellations in the actual astronomy, the observable readings. Why is 27? It's a big science. I can't explain to you, very difficult, because it talks about the point of Capricorn and Unicorn, that belt, which is called ecliptic belt, we call it, 8 degrees belt. That's how 27 stars come in. But I can't explain this. Very long time it will take. But somebody is interested, send me a message. I can explain to you beautifully why astrology and our Vastu considers only 27, not the 88. It's because of a 8-degree belt curve between the point of Capricorn and the sun. Okay, that's important. So, is astrology is untrue? I cannot say that. I don't want to say astrology is true or wrong or whatever it is. The facts are there in black and white. You have to inquire yourself, you find an answer, but go beyond just beliefs, fear or superstition and analyze it. Similar to Vastu, astrology also science. When Jyotisha was introduced astrology, there was a science. So I'm also writing a book on astrology science based on what is scientific in astrology and what is not scientific, similar to Vastu. But if time permits and God allows, we can discuss that. So now the most important thing is the true north. We discussed a lot about it, but we have to understand there are three different types of north. When you use a compass, you only get a magnetic north on the right side. This is not the true north for Vastu. You cannot construct a house based on today. Many people make this mistake. They go to a plot, they take a compass in the mobile phone or any compass. They look at the north direction given by the compass. They then accept it as north, which is wrong, which is not the true north. It's a compass north. It is a dynamic, is moving position all the time. The true north is never moves. There's a declination between the true north and the magnetic north. You have to understand where you are. If you are in India, you are in Dubai, you are in China, you are in US, you are in Europe, you have to identify what is my declination and adjust it to the compass north. Then only you get your plot right direction. So in India, for example, I'll show you what it is. In Chennai, the declination today is 1.1 degrees. In Dubai, 2.2 degrees. In the Sydney is 12.8 degrees. You can see significantly. So in Chennai, if you're looking at compass, this is what your compass will show, your plot. But your true north of your plot is coming from here. You have to adjust this 1.1 degrees. You have to calculate depending upon a plot size. It's not coming automatically. If the plot is very big, let's say 200 feet by 100 feet plot, that 1.1 degrees will convert into a different distance. And similarly, if it's a 40 feet by 60 feet, it will be different distance. This distance you have to calculate based on this 1.1 degrees today. 5 years from today, the 1.1 can be 1.3 because it is continuously moving, because earth, molten iron will move the earth away. It moves almost by 40 kilometers per year. That means in 2035, this 1.1 can be 3.5 or 4 degrees. So you have to check with the IMD or Indian. There's a table published every day by the Indian Astronomical Science Department. You can go to Google and type on it and say, what is my magnetic declination for Chennai today? They'll give you a table and you take it from there. No master consultant can give that. You have to go to the Astronomical Science Department of India or the US Department of Astronomical Science or NASA. NASA uses this for the worldwide. What is the declination today? You take it up and use it actually. That's the only way. There's no way I can tell you what it is going to be today. 1.1 is based on September 2025. Today in October, I do not know where it is going to be. So you have to, this is a most important point to avoid any mistake in your orientation of a plot. Okay. So now the site selection is a very important aspect before we go, because in Vastu, if you look at it, when you want to buy a plot, we don't do that. We only talk about north facing or south facing. Nobody bothers. You look at your plot diagram. Nobody looks at the declination. Nobody looks at the compass. You go to a drawing. The drawing says this is north, and then you buy a plot based on what the broker says or agent says. This is north facing, south facing. You don't know. It is not north facing. It may be northwest facing, northeast facing, northeast facing. It may not be exactly true north. The north is basically only facing true north, due east, due west, and due south. Anything else is different. Your plot, Vastu will go wrong. Vastu will go wrong. I repeat it. If your orientation is not true north, you base your Vastu on it. You have to use a compass and identify declination and correct it, mark it. That is very, very important. Do not accept from a plot drawing made by an architect or some GSI guy or some CAD guy from a software and say this is not. Challenge him. Look at it. Every direction is important. Okay, it's foremost. And Vastu says site selection, apart from the orientation, you look at, see, there are 14 points. 1,500 years back, our ancestors looked at 14 points for selecting a site before buying a plot, before deciding to construct a house there. Today, we don't see that, any of them. We just buy a plot, we tell the architect to construct a compound there and go construct a house there. Nobody bothers about what it is happening. Nobody knows about it. It talks about how to do it. The first thing is to taste the land. Tasting the land means the owner of the house. You are buying 1 crore, 1.5 crores, 50 lakhs to buy a land. Why can't you go and taste it and see what it is? That's what is important. It says, you are the owner of the house. You can't expect your gardener or your watchman to do something for you. It's your house. Your family is going to live. Your house, your wife and children are going to grow there. So you have to do this. Taste it, smell it, sound coming from the earth, the touching. The earth has to be firmness. The fertility of the earth is extremely important. The elevation, we know that. Vastu says, all of you know. South is to be high, north is to be low, right? That is important. Why it is? The stability, the water, the trees on it. It should be free of shrubs and everything out, free of insects like termites and all these things, purity and natural distortion. All these 14s have to be checked before you buy a plot. So tomorrow when you buy a plot, don't spend 50 lakhs rupees to buy a plot if you want to follow Vastu. If you're not a believer of Vastu, then don't follow. But if you want to follow Vastu, don't follow a pseudo Vastu or Namka Vastu. Just namesake. Naam ke liye karta hai bas. I will do what is for just for Vastu. Don't do that. It will only go against you. Either do it or don't do it. That's important. Or you select some important things and try to do it. These 14 elements I can explain to you later, but this is very, very critical to do a site selection. This is what our original Vastu, 1500 years back, Manasara, Mayamata, Vishwakarma, Ramanuja, Samananga, everybody says about it. So another thing, so this is the same thing, I don't want to explain to you more. We'll go forward with that. So this is where I want to stop where we are. I don't want to discuss anything. This is the design concepts is there. So I will stop here and I would like to ask your opinion before considering any questions are there, any concerns you have, any important points you want to discuss. I would like you to go through with that. So Mr. Gopi, I'll stop for about 10 minutes and any kind of ideas, you have any expectations for next 45 minutes to discuss? Mr. Gopi, please allow the floor to talk to me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, participants, I hope you heard what Mr. Muthukumar said. You may please unmute and ask questions. Yeah. Please go on. Vikram, go
on. A very nice presentation, sir, actually. See, I got to hear something like you were saying for Brahmanas, it will be a different Vastu, for Vaishyas. So based on Varna Ashrama, you are saying the Vastu will vary. Can you please enlighten that? What you are trying to say? Is it different for
Sarah says is that it's in Manasara and Mayamata, the original Vastu architecture book. What it says is based on occupation. They don't talk about Varna, Jadi or caste. That we have to really delineate that. They're not talking about caste or Jadi or something like that. So based on Varna, your occupation. Suppose you are a Brahmin. Okay, your occupation is a Brahmin occupation. You are talking about 1500 years back, right? So your Brahmin is what you're doing. Your Brahmin means you're doing rituals. You're mostly working with your brain and you are doing mantras by speaking and doing discourses or teaching people. So most of the time, Brahmins were teaching people as teachers, masters, and guru. They were also doing mantras and rituals for the families. They were doing all kinds of yoga and meditation, all this. That's what the Brahmin's job is. They were not doing physical work most of the time. So for Vastu says northeast corner is the primary direction for them to create a Vastu for the house. They should focus their entire attention of constructing a house based on the northeastern direction. The northeastern direction is the Sattvic direction. That is what the whole design is. Suppose you are a Kshatriya and you want to all the time, you're going to fight, you're going to war, you're not going to waste your time on teaching people or doing yoga or meditation. You're going to be fighting with people or taking action or maintaining. Suppose a king is there, you're going to maintain something. Your country has to be maintained. People has to be taken care of. So a Kshatriya will always be in action, Rajayasic motion. So that means he has to build according to a southeast-based work or northwest-based. Northwest or southeast-based Vastu is the main thing for the Kshatriya. Vaishyas, they basically are traveling a lot, you're dealing with money and ups and downs and like thing and all. You are also kind of Rajayasic, but not as active as the thing. So you are combination of Tamasic and Rajai. So you are Vaishya should be northwest to southwest model of Vastu has to be there. Shudras are physical work. Most of them are going to work physically, 8 to 10 hours a day they'll be working. Very minimum amount of mind-based work, brain-based work they're going to do. They're not doing a Vaishya or Kshatriya work. For them, southwest-based Vastu is important. So the primary attention to the Vastu for this 4 is the direction of how their occupation is. Sattvic occupation plus the Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic quality. That's what is based on, sir. This is elaborately explained in the Manasara and Mayamata.
You have a slide, sir, showing these.
No, I didn't bring it because I didn't want to bring this Varna, caste, and Jati issue. People may misunderstand what I'm talking, right? With a politicizing, I didn't want to bring it up purposefully.
Okay. Because this is very new for me. For different Varnas, different Vastu is new complaint?
I can show you sample chapters on Manasara and Mayamada.
Okay, sir. And you were mentioning about a temple in Paris. What is the name of the temple? Raja
In Paris. Many people would have gone there. Anybody who has seen the temple, you can explain. It's in Paris. It's Armenian Street, I think. Closer to Armenian.
Name of the temple, sir?
Raja Kaliamman.
Raja Kaliam. Okay.
Raja Kaliamman, if you type in the Google, it will come to you. It's a very famous temple.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Came to this temple. If you remember why this temple is very famous is in Chhatrapati Shivaji in 1657 came to this temple to conquer Chennai. He was taking a war against Chennai to capture Madras that time. So he comes to this Kaliamman temple, and the Kaliamman gives him that don't fight with Chennai, make friendship with Chennai. So he changes his mind to conquer Chennai and signs an alliance with Chennai. So that's why Chhatrapati Maharashtra is very close to Chennai and Tamil Nadu. A lot of Maharashtrians live in Tanjore and other places based on that.
Dr. Gopi, can you have a question?
Oh,
Sir,
thank you,
question
sir.
from
Dr. Dina, go on, sir. Dr. Dina, go on.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Dr. Muthukumar ji, for a very erudite exposition of Vastu Shastra. We really appreciate it for your time and energy. I have two questions. I come from Tirunelveli, a southern part of Tamil Nadu, where Isana Moola is preferred for kitchen and keeping of water, okay, as compared to Agni Moola, which is in the northern Tamil Nadu, okay. How do you explain that? Okay, that is number one. Even for royal places in of Varmas and Trivandrum, they use only Isana Moola or northeast for kitchen. That is one. This is one question we had in mind. Second question was about the present architecture. No, see, normally, I think as we understand, Vastu is the free flow of planet and earthly energies. Okay, wind, air, and sunlight, etc. Okay. So nowadays they use all our malls and some of the large houses. No, they block the sunlight by by some obstruction or by glass, etc. And they start using all kinds of internal lights. Okay, how do you view that? These are the two questions I have for you, sir.
We have a session on kitchen later on. One of the question and answer session, we have put something called kitchen should be in southeast or any other direction. So to answer your question, simply, northeast is not a problem for kitchen. Southeast is not the only position for kitchen. Kitchen can be in the northeast also. We'll discuss it in that section, sir. There is no problem for that.
Okay.
The second point about lights, yes, the biggest challenge with the sunlight, right? The sunlight is extremely good for you because when it comes into the house, on the earth or pond, everywhere, it does not reflect directly the light. But if you look at your modern houses, they close all these things with the glasses, everything, put a lot of LED lights. Your tiles also were very shining tiles. In the olden days, we never had shining white tiles. It was red oxide or some dark colored tiles were there. They never reflect the sunlight. But today, if you look at it, your house is full of shining tiles and you have LED lights. All the windows are closed. That light also will reflect from the tiles. When it's reflecting, it's going to affect your entire circadian rhythm, into your brain hypothalamus action. Because
exactly.
What happens is you won't be able to work with a complete brain energy because it's going to disturb it. And that affects actually. So that is why it's not a good thing. One Vastu people cannot explain this scientifically about hypothalamus and brain work. They simply say it is not good for you. I mean, nothing wrong, but they're saying that it's not good for you, which will bring you misfortune, mainly because you won't be able to act intellectually, rationally, if you have a lot of light reflecting back on you. That's an important aspect. Good question.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good morning, sir. This is Bob Gopinath from Hyderabad.
Yes, sir.
It's audible?
It's audible, yes.
Yeah, go on, Gopi.
Yeah. Sir, in Hyderabad, I am pharma background, sir. In lot of companies in Hyderabad, I see company itself, they're constructing based on the Vastu. So the northeast, I seen the fire hydrant system they are keeping, the water tanks and all they're keeping. Southeast, they are keeping the boiler. And then southwest, they are keeping the solvent recovery columns and all. And then northwest, I seen the this what I effluent generally I seen most of the companies. But while I'm visiting the Bharuch, I seen in the northwest they kept the boiler. Is it the direction they kept is correct or wrong?
Okay, so it's again comes from a symbolic representative of Agni Mula, southeast, because why they keep a boiler is full of fire, right? Basically, boiler is going to bring a lot of heat. It involves a lot of heating actually. So that is why the Agni Mula, they use boiler. And the northeast is actually defined for water, and so that's why they kept all these hydrants and everything there, because there is a water there, which is correct as per Vastu. And northwest effluent is absolutely correct, because northwest is the direction for excretion as per Vastu. Excretion, any kind of a contaminant to be coming out of this northwest direction is acceptable in Vastu, which is also correct. And all the solvent, all this heavy equipment and plant machinery in the southwest also as per Vastu, because it's groundedness. So the four directions what I mentioned is as per Vastu orientation and thing. There is nothing wrong in that. But when you go to Gujarat and Bharuch, the issue is that it's not in Chennai area. It's on the western part of India. And there, the sunlight moving from east to west may not be same as what is happening in India, because that sunlight, the path I showed you, the sunlight path from east to west will vary if you put it for Gujarat. And there, most likely the sunlight is coming slightly north of their head. When it comes to that, for them, the Agni Mula southeast concept may not work. Now the northwest or northeast also can become a Agni Mula. So that is why they would have kept it there. But generally speaking, northwest keeping a boiler is not according to the Vastu, sir. Unless I have to go through do a diagram, I have to download the sun path on Gujarat based on the mapping of the gross location in the earth, and I have to map the earth sun's path, then see what is happening with the southeastern direction, and then only I can answer it. But as per Vastu, putting a boiler northwards is not correct as per Vastu.
Okay, sir. Sir, whether it is possible to one to discuss with you regarding the plant layout is possible, sir, if you are permitted?
Yeah. See, I'm not a Vastu consultant. It's not my profession actually. My profession
It's
is
not your profession, but you have the vast experience. I see one chemical
I'm happy
engineer.
to engage, sir. I'm happy to engage and discuss. It's a knowledge imparting, so I'm happy to discuss. And I will also learn something from you. So it's good to engage. My email ID and the phone number I will put in the chat message. Please, you
Gopi,
can
I'll
send
give
me.
you, Gopi. Gopi, I will share.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So good morning, sir. This is Raman, friend of the Joshi. See, how does the individual horoscope is linked to Vastu? Because individual horoscope it is not okay, then Vastu cannot have implications. That's my understanding. So what's your reviews?
That's exactly the screen you're seeing in the front, actually. The good question coming from
Okay.
you. That's what you see the side on the screen. So one of the biggest thing in Vastu is that Chanda Lakshana. In the Chanda Lakshana, one of the thing is called place, time, and ecology. And if you look at it here, the place is basically the first interpretation is based on region, climate, location. That's what we discussed. Chennai or Gujarat, even that Gopi asked about that factory. The Chennai, Gujarat, based on that. Time is also based upon your winter season, summer season, whatever it is. Ecology is about environmental surrounding. We are very close to a volcano, or very close to an earthquake center, or very close to a river or a lake. All these things will change. This is Vastu science. Another interpretation is exactly the question you asked. Vastu says, even if the dwelling is constructed perfectly as per Vastu, if the Desa, Kala, and Parva of the person, as per you are saying, personal horoscope, is not aligned, is not resonate, you don't have a good time, you are going through a bad time, Vastu cannot help. Vastu will have, it may reduce it, or you can just make it easy for you to accept the challenges, but it will not remove this, because that comes under, as per Vastu and Rig Veda, it comes under Rita, cosmic order. In Tamil, it's called Wood in Tirukkural, and so, or in Sanskrit, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says is Guna Karma flow. So either it is because of Rita or Wood or Guna Karma, if your time, Desa, Kala, the time, Desa, place, and Parva is not good as per a personal horoscope, Vastu cannot remove that problem, sir. That is clearly mentioned in the Vastu Sastra.
Thank you, sir.
Muthukumar, this is Jaykumar, your 5-year classmate, Annamalai classmate.
Yes, sir. Please go on, sir. Jaykumar, sir, please go on.
Yes. One small clarification, Muthukumar. So far, almost I'm 63 years. We are our batchmates. So far, I never had the opportunity of going through Vastu in my lifetime, whether in the purchase of house plots or in my business activities or in personal life. What is your opinion about that? Is there a specific need that I should go through Vastu when in my existing house or in my profession or something like that? This is my question, sir.
One question very clearly in all our Shastras, not only in Vastu Shastras. In fact, one of the good thing about Vastu Shastra is in Maya Mata, there's a section called Is Vastu Necessary? And in addition to that Vastu necessary, in also in Jyotisha, in also in the Ayurveda, there's also something called this medication necessary. Ayurveda talks about not only medical, but talk about harmony of your health and life. There also talks about Ayurveda talks also about Vastu. In all these things, there's a question: is Vastu necessary, or any kind of rituals are necessary? If you look at the Mimamsa, it says whether rituals are necessary. So everywhere this question is asked: Vastu is a ritual, or like a puja you're doing as a ritual is necessary or not? There's a beautiful answer to your question, Jaikumar. It says very clearly that if you are aligned with your mind, consciousness, the three things: your mind, intellect, and consciousness. Your mind is mind, intellect, and consciousness, your soul. So this mind, intellect, and consciousness, if three of them are completely aligned with the nature, your surroundings, and the universe, then you do not need God, you do not need rituals, you do not need Vastu. You can live a harmonious, balanced life, irrespective of what happens to your life. This is what the answer is coming from Maya Mata, Ayurveda, and Mimamsa Shastra. So that's the answer for you. So if you are comfortable with what you are doing and you are completely aligned with what is life's ups and downs, that you know that there may be up sometime in life, there may be down sometime in life. I'll go through it harmoniously, balance, accepting life as it is, then you don't need Vastu at all. But if you're disturbed, you have some problems to accept what is happening in life, and you want to make it harmonious for you, your family, or anybody else, then Vastu may be a useful science to apply. So totally depending upon you, Jaikumar.
Okay, very glad, sir. I got it. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Muthu. Thank you.
Sir, one short question, like.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yeah, please go ahead.
do you follow astronomy or astrology?
Astrology, I wanted to avoid talking about it, but I follow only astronomy, not astrology, sir, based on that. Astrology is pseudoscience, is not defined by, as you have seen in that particular this thing. Astrology has a lot of misconceptions about the planets and all the stars and everything else. So basically, I do not believe in astrology, but I believe in astrology from a scientific perspective. Astrology has got two aspects, sir. One is the scientific perspective of astrology. Second is the predictive perspective of astrology. I accept the scientific perspective, not the predictive perspective. Based on astrology, something will happen to you today, tomorrow, all these things. That prediction, the predictive astrology, I do not believe. Thank you.
Okay, sir, but all the 27 star constellations, all I mean ஜோதிஷம் பார்க்குறவங்க எல்லாருமே வந்து இந்த 27 ஸ்டார் கான்ஸ்டலேஷன் பார்த்து இப்படிதான் ப்ரெடிக்ட் பண்ணி சொல்றாங்க. ரொம்ப எல்லாருமே அதை ரிலை பண்ணி தான் சொல்றாங்க. அந்த மாதிரி பார்த்தா அஸ்ட்ராலஜில அவங்க ரிலை ஆகுறாங்க. ஸோ இஸ் தட் ராங் தென்?
No, it's not wrong, actually. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong in this. The question about it, even Vastu aligns with your nakshatra. If you look at the third point, which I was going to discuss later, but I can show you because you asked the question, it may be useful for everybody. So if you go here, okay, the third one, the rickshaw. The same concept of Vastu, there's something called rickshaw constellation. This is aligning the owner's birth star, Janma Nakshatra Solo. The Janma Nakshatra, the birth star of the owner, is aligned with this Nakshatra of the plot. They identify what is the Nakshatra of the plot by a calculation. And Nakshatra of the plot has to be aligned with the owner's Nakshatra. So they do it actually even in Vastu. So there's nothing wrong from that. It's only alignment. What is happening here, for example, in Vastu, I'll go to the calculation. I'll show you the calculation of Riksha. See, if you go to the Riksha calculation, this is the third one. I'm highlighting it here. Sorry. the third paragraph. The Risha formula is your plot is there. Length plus breadth of a plot multiplied by 8 and divided by 27. Whatever the remainder comes, that is your plot star. Suppose that you know the 27 stars are there. First star is Ashwini, as all of us know. 27th star is Revati. So you take it from the asterium of the number of stars. You put a table of 1 to 27. Write all the stars. Suppose your length and breadth is 40 feet by 60 feet, whatever it is. Multiply by 8 divided by 27. Take the remainder, not the quotient. The remainder is, suppose the remainder is 0, it is 27 automatically. The remainder is any number coming from that. Suppose let's say 1, Ashwini. Then what you do is, what is your Janma Nakshatra? If it's also Ashwini, it is okay. If it's not Ashwini, then you have to see who are the friendly nakshatras for Ashwini. For within 27 stars, every star has got at least minimum 3 friendly nakshatras and 6 malignant enemy nakshatras are there. So you identify for Ashwini what are the 3 friendly nakshatras, and you ensure that your plot is matching with Ashwini or the 3 other nakshatras and your birth star. So it is also it's only alignment of your nakshatra. It doesn't say if you don't match it, you will fall problem, you will fall into sick. It doesn't predict what will happen to you. That is a different side. Astrology is good as long as you're aligning with it. But if you start predicting that if you don't align with it, tomorrow you will fall sick, you will get cancer, you will fail, you will lose your job, you will lose money in business. That prediction is not there in astrological science. It comes later when the people started using for predictive astrology. So you understood there's a difference between astrological science to alignment of your energies against predictive astrologism. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And can you? Is there a slide showing 88 star constellations based on astronomy? You have this
88, I
slide?
didn't actually, but I can send it to you. It's very simple. You can also type in Google what are the 88 constellations, list out immediately, sir. It's very
Okay.
open and
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot, sir, for insights.
Sir, one more question from
yeah.
Babu. Sir, நான் வீடு கட்டுனதுல இருந்து நான் வீட்லயே இல்ல சார். Professionally I am growing. My career professionally I am growing. But I am weekends only I am possible to with my family. Anything vastu wise wrong in my home are you thinking?
See, Vastu says, I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but Vastu architecture says very clearly, if you are living in a place of no stability, you are sleeping in a place or using most of the time in your house, whether sleeping or sitting and talking, whatever, eating, whatever you are doing, most of your time you are staying somewhere in the northwest direction of your house. You'll be always moving out of the house very often. If that is one thing about Vastu says. I don't know whether that's what is in your house, but if you're spending, let's say, 60 to 70% of your time western or western direction of the house, you'll be always traveling outside.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Hi, sir.
Thank you. Sir.
Hi, sir. This is
Sir,
Pradeep from.
VTMurthy, sir. VTM, sir.
Yeah,
VTM, sir.
yeah, very good presentation and very good explanation connecting mythology and the scientific knowledge. I can share one experience. I was with Aditya Bellakku. We had in Vikram Ispat, the main furnace, somebody else is talking.
Yeah.
Murugan,
I got
can you?
Main furnace was located in the center of the plot. So the Vastu people we called from Hyderabad, and they said this is not correct place. This is normally the center should be open to the atmosphere. And what you do is you buy the land next door. So we bought another center there, then, so that this furnace doesn't come in the center. But unfortunately, that was the time because we were fighting with the technology. And then we found out there was something wrong with that cone, bottom cone for the flow. And then we changed that cone. The furnace went all right. I don't know whether it's a coincidence with the Vastu or with the technology knowledge. So that is one thing I thought I'd share with you. Second thing is you have done a very good analysis of the whole thing. What does it say about the country, India, the location plan, or as per Vastu? These are the two questions now.
Okay, we'll talk the first one, sir. The first one is a plot, right? First of all, if it is as per Vastu, Vastu's architecture says the Brahmasthana, the center part has to be open to the sky, but doesn't say that it is a must actually. It's not a must that it has to be there. It is a preferred direction that the Brahmasthana is kept open to the sky, mainly because of it brings this connects to the Akasha, sky, in a house, but does not apply to a factory. The factory is not a house where you are living. Factory is a temporary place where people go in the morning, work and come back. They're not creating a family there. They're not creating wealth. They're not generating children there. They're not, there's not, so factory life is different. In a factory, Brahmasthana is a symbolic representation. It doesn't recommend or demand that you should not have anything there. That's first part. Second part is that when you buy a land, then what happens is mainly your Aya and Vyaya calculations has to be done, sir. I don't know whether it is done or not, mainly because when you're extending the plot size, your Aya Vyaya relationship changes. And because of that, what may happen is that if Aya was positive by buying a land, it is also possible that it is given a more of a rational thinking to find the problem and solve the problem. That is what Vastu is saying. Vastu is saying that it's not only just a harmony, it also allows harmonial thinking, rational thinking, and increase of intellectuality in your mind. So it is possible that by buying a land and creating a positive Aya, it allowed you to find a solution to the problem also. The second point about the second question was based on what is it, sir? Second question.
The third question is about India's location.
India, sir. India is basically, as per Vastu, India is completely different from Vastu. Because you look at India's first thing is, Vastu says northwest to be higher, northeast should be lower. India, northeast Himalayas and southwest is Kanyakumari, water. It's completely different from Vastu. And second aspect is, India southeast has to be kitchen, that means Agni Mula, but India has got Bay of Bengal, water is there. And we have Sri Lanka is always under fire all the time. But in Northwest, actually, India does have a very different kind of place where you have enemies walking in all the time from Northwest and North. So India, from Vastu perspective, is not well placed, sir, from Vastu's perspective. But people try to give a lot of reasons for it. But as such, Vastu and India is totally opposite to each other.
Yeah, that's what many Vastu experts also say. But India is an exception.
Yeah, true.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Domani, sir.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Sir, Pradeep from Chennai, sir. I have been associated with you in the previous session also. As you have mentioned earlier, that in apartments, we don't see the Vastu. It's the Vastu of the building. And in apartments, we go with Aya and Vaya measurements. So suppose according to the building, when our home or our apartment is getting located, or suppose like in the southwest or in the northeast, does we have to go according to the building Vastu in the home or house? Second question is that are the color important in the Vastu? Like, is there any major role of color playing that we need not put this color in this direction, we do not use that color in that direction? Are they relevant in the Vastu? This is my question, sir.
Mr. Pradeep, can you repeat the first question? I could not hear you properly that time. The color one, what was the first one?
First question was you have said me that in apartments we mainly look at the Aya and Vaya of the apartment size, whereas the Vastu is related to the land and the building construction of the area.
Correct.
Yeah. So in that I was saying that suppose our apartment is situated in the southwest of the apartment, I mean the building, or the northeast part of the building. So does the Vastu, does the Vastu affect accordingly?
One of the important is that it's about with the ground. Okay, one of the major thing is Prithvi. In the apartment or whatever, you are away from the ground. So what is this effect is going to be in the Vastu? So basically, you cannot identify the building Vastu has to be combined. So first thing you have to do in an apartment building is ground Vastu you have to take it. The entire compound Vastu has to be taken for all these calculations, Aya, Vyaya, everything out. But when it comes to an apartment, then what we have to do is we have to do all these 6 calculations, Aya, Vyaya, Riksha, Vara, Tidhi, as well as this Mana. All the 6 calculations we have to do, and based on that, the apartment can be fixed. The most important thing is that in many places, what we do here, the ground, the building Vastu is not considered. We only talk from orientation perspective. Most of the apartments look at only the orientation. I have to have this one in the northeast kitchen, but they do not look at all the other aspect of it. It's very important that even though you are going for apartment, which is away from the ground, is a multi-storied apartment, look at all these 6 calculations. Because if you look at this, what are the 6 calculations now? If you look back, apart from the calculations, see, these are the 6 calculations, sir. It's very important that we have to do all of them for even for apartment. First one is Aya. Aya is always about your income or gain or growth, which is related to your 12 months of the year, also 8 different aspects of your life actually. So Aya is related to 8 and 12. It's very, very important to talk about increase, gain or growth. But as you know, Newton's reaction, that for every action there is a reaction. So Vastu consultants, our Vastu architect knows about it. It can't be always inflow gain. So they said you have to do something called Vyaya calculation, which is expenditure. So your profit and loss statement, the revenue or increase or gain is coming from Aya, expenditure loss is coming from the Vyaya. Aya minus Vyaya should be positive. If it is positive, it's profitable for you. If it's negative, it's bad for you. So that is what is important. In any apartment, your Aya Vyaya has to be calculated. You have to ensure that Aya is higher than the Vyaya. And it's not as simple. There's a formula. I'll show you the formula. It's also related to it. The Vyaya is related to 9 and 10, which also relates to your planets, 9 planets actually. Then the third one is the Riksha, which out about 27 stars, how to align the owner of the house per star into the buildings, the plots constellation. The next one is a Yoni source and orientation. There are 8 zones of orientation. It has to be matching with that. Any apartment we can do that. Then Vara, ruling a suitable day. This is a solar ruling. Actually, sun is ruling this particular Vara. You have to identify which day of the week is important for you to do anything important in the plot. For example, including Grava Pravesham, including entering the plot, including whatever you are doing that. Last one is a Tithi, which is a lunar cycle. One is a solar cycle, is a lunar cycle between Amavasa and Paurnami. You have to calculate and accordingly align with the owner of the house. So every apartment, we have to do the 6 calculations along with the ground building with the earth for the Aya calculations. And many people do not do this. They just simply take the orientation and say southeast is kitchen and northeast is puja room. That is not enough, sir. That is not enough. That is why many apartments are not Vastu compliant, because they may miss in many of these 6 calculations. So all of them have to be, we can do it even for apartment.
Okay, sir. And the second one was about colors.
The colors actually has got a very important aspect in Vastu. Vastu talks about it. For example, if you have your master bedroom in the east, there's no choice for you. For example, we have no choice. Your plot is like that. Your master bedroom is in the eastern direction. Our kitchen is the southwest direction. You can't do anything. You can't build and demolish anything. Vastu then that says that by putting the right color of the deity. For example, you know that orange or red is the deity of Surya. So what they're saying is the deity of the Surya, we can bring a temporary effect of the deity's color by putting that same in southwest. So the color plays a very important role in Vastu, especially for remedial actions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Again, Raman sir. See, if each temple has got different Vastu, or all temple has got a same Vastu principle. Because see, some temple when you go, we get some kind of energy. Some temple if you go, we get out, and people also go in different entrance, south or north. So how does this Vastu is played a role in temple construction? Is it same or different?
Okay, very good question actually. Okay, we'll look at the thing. So again, we have to look at temple construction from the northern direction, southern direction. So very clearly, Vastu for temple construction there are 2 things called Naghara and Dravida. Naghara Vastu is for temples of the North India. Dravida Vastu is for the South Indian temple. So that is why you see South Indian temples are different from the North Indian temples. So again, politicians talk the South Indian temples are great, North Indian temples. It's not correct because the Vastu of North Indian temples is based on Nagara Vastu, and here it is based on Dravidian Vastu. Both are different. It's also based on climate conditions, soil conditions, what is available and everything. So that's the first. That's why you will see a difference of temples. Even when you come to South India, Dravida culture, the Dravidian Naga, it's not supposed to Dravidian culture. The Dravida, they just called it Dravida, I think, because applied for South India, south of Narmada River. Anything south of Narmada River is called Dravida Vastu was brought in. Maya Mata is the most important aspect of it. Shilparatna is most important. And then this Mangal Shulya of Malayalam and Mayadi Sastram of Tamil Nadu. In these cases, what happened is they constructed the Vastu different from depending upon the climatic condition. There are different types of temples, how to construct it. And South India also brought something bigger called Agamas. So along with the Vastu, Agamas also joined, sir. If you look at Saiva Agamas, the 28 Agamas are there. In Vaishnava, there are 2 Agamas are there. So there are total about 30 Agamas are there. Each Agama also talks about how to construct a temple. So you have a Vastu construction of a temple plan and Agama construction of a temple plan. So in most of the temples, they combine this Agama and the Vastu. Then only they construct it. If you look at the Pragadishwara temple, it was only constructed based on Vastu, not Agama. That is why they say, I do not know, but that's why they say they were not able to put the Sivalinga, Pradishta panna mudiyala. Sivalinga, they were not able to Pradishta the Sivalinga there. And one Siddha was called to help the king to Pradishta the Sivan there. And similarly, they only followed Agama. The temple always had a problem for Kumbhabhisheka. The construction will not be completed. Then they have to do the Vastu into that. So if you look at the question for you is every temple is different because they combine the Vastu and Agama. Then again, there are 28 Agamas are there. And there are more than 6 Dravida Vastus there. Which one is the following? The Kerala Vastu, the Mangal Shulya, is different from the Manayari Sastram of Tamil Nadu. If you follow the Kerala's this thing, the temple will be different there. Because Kerala's temperature is different, climate conditions are different, rainy is completely different, humidity is different. So the Kerala is almost like a house. If you look at the Kerala's temples, you've got the big temples, their old Vastu will be different from South Indian temples. That's why the problem is. The third aspect, when you say different energies and different entrances, is also aligned with your energy level. So every temple is not an independent event. The deity of the temple should align with your own energy, the star of your energy, your constellation. So the temple, the deity of the temple also has got a star. That star has to align with your star. That's why the frequency has to match, the energy levels will be same. And if your energy levels is lower than the energy levels of the temple, you will be disturbed there in the temple. If your energy levels were higher than the energy level of the temple, you won't feel comfortable there. You will think that why I should come to this temple. You will discard the temple. Some people will walk away from the temple. Well, only when your energy levels is same as the energy levels of the deity, you will feel comfortable. Repeatedly, you go back to the temple. This is the principle as per Vastu and Agama, sir.
Hello.
So one more question. See, the Talavircham in each temple, it is related to the person who has constructed the temple or the person who initiated that temple things, or it is a king.
No, in the temple, there is no owner. The God is the owner.
No, I'm not. See, the Talavircham for that tree, no, that there are different trees and different temples. Okay, because I was understanding that particular trees no refers to the star of the either the king or the guy who constructed things. So which is the correct one?
With respect to the temple, the king was constructing or the Sabadi was doing it, they don't get related except the main deity. The main deity, whichever is the main deity, is the one aligned with respect to his constellation. Everything is based on the main deity. Sthala is a different concept, doesn't come into Vastu at all. Vastu doesn't talk about Sthala at all. Sthala comes from a different perspective about from Agama. In the Vastu, there is no Sthala. In Agama, there's a Sthala. So it's an Agama concept where the Agama, the superior of the two, whoever the superior person, he is aligned with the Sthala because he is the one constructed it, so it has to grow as his family is growing. So Sthala will be the one which is going to grow and stay for a long time with the temple. Similarly, the family who is constructing the temple also will grow and be stable for a long time. The Sthala is coming from Agama, sir. It's not in Vastu. Vastu is mainly discussing with the deity of the temple.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Ramani, sir, please go on.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Please go on.
Yeah. Sir, can this Vastu Shastra be applied for some industrial establishments which are very, very hazardous in nature, such that the man-made errors or other possibilities are reduced because of this type of things, and incidental issues like what has happened with this Sterlite Copper, whether that type of things can be managed if the Vastu would have been proper while constructing those industries. One side I am asking about the nuclear plant or reactor, another side I am asking about specifically like this Sterlite Copper.
Okay, good question actually. But Vastu from fundamentally Vastu talks about whether it is construction of a plant like this, whether it's hazardous or non-hazardous, anything. Vastu's job is to bring harmony and balance. So, for example, you construct a house now. If the Vastu is 100% perfect, everything is aligned with the owner of the house, the lord of the dwelling, then it's expected that the family will live in harmony, in a balanced mindset, in peace. So what happens in a family living like that? What will happen? Rationally think about it. If the whole family is very harmonious, very balanced, very peaceful, whatever decision they are taking will be always rational. They'll do things correctly. They will have a minimum stress or any kind of friction is very less between them. So it's a good atmosphere living in the family. Suppose the Vastu is not good, the family is not harmonious, they're always fighting, there's a lot of friction, they backstab each other. There will be no peace in that house. And they can't think properly. They will always take a wrong rational decision, irrationally they will behave, they will act on impulse. That's the way the family lives actually. But
Yeah. See, actually, you have explained about these things during the course of your discourse. What I am asking is, can we relate the Vastu of Sterlite Copper to its problem?
Yes, same thing applies there. For example, you're constructing a nuclear plant, as an example. It's a very hazardous. Anything goes wrong is going to be a major problem. If the Vastu science is applied there, is trying to bring the harmony between everything what is happening there. When you apply that one, it also expects that the people living there, the design of that, the actual execution of that work, all the quality control and quality assurance of that, what is important in a hazardous place, much more than the productivity, what is critical is the quality assurance and quality control and safety. These three are extremely important for any hazardous, much more than profitability. So what is happening here in most places is people ignore the Sterlite example. Even that plant happened in Bhopal in 1981. What they did, they forgot about the quality assurance, quality control, and safety. Actually, they went for profitability and saving money for expenditure. And that is why created this problem for Sterlite as well as the that plant in the plant in Bhopal. So when Vastu is done, our money, when people are able to follow the design, the system, the executions, operations management exactly as per the plan in harmony and balance, this will be work very beautifully. Where it doesn't work is that when people misuse it and go beyond the boundary conditions for assuring the harmonious thing. So it apply to answer the question. The Vastu can be applied to any building, even its hazardous factory itself.
So can there be a case study for this Sterlite Copper using applying the science of Vastu?
Please repeat the question, sir.
Can there be a case study on the Sterlite Copper using or from the viewpoint of Vastu science?
We can. There's absolutely can be done as long as there's no politics involved into that and politicization doesn't happen. If they allow neutral, definitely can be done. There's absolutely no problem. It can be done.
Thank you. Very well done. Totally a new area on a scientific perspective. It's excellent. Thank you, Mr. Muthukumar. I enjoyed it.
So the remaining thing I would like to ask all of you, the people who are there. So I would like to, if you have time, if you want to it, we can construct a house from the beginning. Are you ready?
I want. Can I speak for Gopi?
Very well.
Pradeep? Good morning. I am right now. I am residing in Bahrain. I just want to add to what so far it is done. Narrated. I'll just share my experience and this one. That I had been to Mysore in 2003 and I was passing through a temple and I just felt the energy. I told somebody, I mean the driver, that this temple is very powerful. So he told me this is Venugopala Swami temple in Mysore. And he told me that this temple is exactly built in the Vastu of Tirupati. So that energy, I think one of the gentlemen who was asking the question, he was talking about the energy. So the energy is always there. I mean, especially from the deity as well as from the Vastu. Both they are having the homogeneous, mixture in the energy that is given. And regarding the Vastu, I just want to narrate that in Bahrain, that is almost it's in the Middle East, there is one temple called Barber Temple. It's a 4,000-year-old temple in the ruins, which is excavated. And this temple exactly matches, in my place, the old Shiva temples. So this, as per the archaeological dating, it's a 4,000-year-old temple. And how to say that it is exactly Shiva temple? We have a well in the northeast, which is semicircle. It's not a full circle, semicircle for ablution. So all Shiva temples in our place. I am from Mangalore. So this we have a ablution well, which is in the northwest, northeast corner of the temple. So we have the deity. So we can see, except for the geological changes, the temple is not in exactly east or exactly north. You cannot make out because there is some deflection. That could be the geological thing. So this is what I say, that even Vastu is much older. If the temple archaeological dating is around 4,000 years, so definitely Vastu is much more earlier than that. And I think one gentleman asked about.
Honestly, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, and one more thing I just want to add, and one gentleman asked about what is the Vastu of India. Vastu is the architecture, is a science. It's for building something. It's not for the entire country or entire landmass of the planet. No. So people use Vastu. Kings used to build capital cities. When they build capital city, they build the capital city as per Vastu. Even the Rudrabhumi also will be built as per the Vastu in that city, if they want to build the capital city. So it's on that basis it is done. What we are applying, I see many people, they apply the same fundamentals that is built for the entire capital in their home. But home should have a minimal basic thing, especially in the cities. Now it is apartment which is built in sky. So people still apply. I think that is where people have some with the fear or with some presumption, they go for this Vastu. So Vastu should be a science and it should have its basic fundamentals, pillars. So there where it lies its foundation. So we are applying it everywhere. People apply it in sometimes I see in the factories also. Sometimes people say yes, it works with the Vastu, but Vastu has a like say if it is a government company, you cannot have a puja room in a government company. So these are the things. Basically, this will defeat the purpose of Vastu in a company. This is my thought process. This I wanted to share.
Oh, thank you. It's very good about what you mentioned about the temple. About the Vastu for residences and town planning and all these things. So this very clearly defines that. If you look at the Vastu of any of the classical Vastu text, we talked about Manasara, Mayamada, Samarangana, Sutradhara, anything you take it up, they clearly define Vastu for temples, Vastu for town planning, Vastu for palaces, Vastu for residences. All the four are clearly given. There is if you apply the Vastu for residences of normal people, then what is applied for a king, for a palace or a town plan doesn't come at all. It doesn't come. When people misunderstand it, and then as you said correctly, some people may even apply what is given for town planning into the individual house. That is, people may misunderstand and do that. But if you look at the Vastu, it clearly defines the four divisions clearly: temples and palaces, town planning, city planning, whatever you call it, and then the residences. Even in the residences, they're given 36 different varieties in beautifully. 36 varieties means your plot size very big, small, small, small. And then, as I mentioned earlier on, Varnashra, he said if you're from the 4 Varnas, Brahmin and Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and Sudras, what kind of Vastu they have to follow. It clearly defines it, sir. There is no problem at all. The problem is people may combine everything together and apply a common formula everywhere. And when it happens, then distort. Same thing happens in medicine also. If you look at the medicine, people combine Ayurveda, Siddha Veda. Siddha is completely different from Ayurveda. Ayurveda is completely different from this other ones we have. So basically, everybody combines everything and then misuses that or misunderstand what Ayurveda says, what Siddha Veda says. That's kind of issues, and that is what is happening actually. But if you're able to delineate very clearly, this is the Vastu for residents, this is what I want to follow, then there is a method, as you correctly pointed out. It's a good point what you mentioned, but that is there. We have to understand what is available and follow it. That is why I want to do it here. If everybody has got time, if people are interested, only I want to do this, how to apply Vastu from the time you are buying a plot until you construct it. So I don't want to take everybody's time. So I'm asking Gopi, you are okay and everybody is okay to continue to do this exercise. Very interesting exercise. We can learn the Vastu completely, how to buy a plot and construct a house as per Vastu.
Participants, you may please.
Yes, sir, we can go ahead. Yeah.
Sir, one kind request, sir. Another session you organize, it will be better. You see the strength is from 90, it came to 60, but everybody interested. Nearing 2 hours it is happened. People are all waiting. Another session is better, I am thinking, sir. Gopi, sir, please organize another session. It is an interesting session. We are all interested because very short period, we don't want to close it for time concepts. Please.
Yeah, I think I also support this argument of this gentleman. Why? Because building a house for all people like us is maybe once in a lifetime affair. And further, we will be doing it maybe once again for our own son or daughter. That's all. So I think it is better we can have it as a separate session. I'm ready to listen now also, but I am emphasizing the importance of this to be reaching to all the beneficiaries. Please consider.
Muthukumar sir, are you okay with that?
I am okay. Whatever decision you take, Mr. Gopi, you are the director of this whole show. I will follow what you say, the director.
It's not
it's all about
sir, it is the answer Muthukumar sir.
இல்ல சார் இல்ல நல்லது பாருங்க நீங்க நல்லா யோசிச்சு பாருங்க சார் வந்து ஒரு 20 மினிட்ஸ் சொல்றாருன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன் ஐ எம் ஷியோர் தட் இன்னொரு 20 மினிட்ஸ் கொஸ்டின்ஸ் நிச்சயமா வரும் அது மேல அப்புறம் ஒவ்வொருத்தரும் அவங்களுடைய பர்சனல் ப்ராப்ளத்தை பத்தி கேட்பாங்க இதெல்லாம் பார்க்க போனா மினிமம் ஒரு 1 ஹவராவது தேவைப்படும் சார் ஆக்சுவலா நான் சொல்றது செய்யறதே செய்யறீங்க எல்லாருக்கும் பெனிஃபிட் ஆகட்டுமே நான் கேக்குறேன் வேற ஒண்ணு
part 3 sir Muthukumar sir
எனக்கு சந்தோஷம்பா I'm welcoming in.
Mr. Gopi, I'm okay. I agree also with the points made. Very reasonable argument they made. I agree also. I am okay, Mr. Gopi. You let me know.
Sorry, sir. Can we? Are you okay next week, sir? Or they continue to it will be better.
So I'm okay for me. I'm not traveling, so as of now.
Very good. Very good. Thanks a lot to all of you. Thanks a lot to all of you, and especially to Muthukumar sir for extending this, and to Gopi.
Thank you, Muthukumar sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.